I tell the guys, we're thin but mighty. Anybody that's ever asked about our program over the last few years, I've been saying the same thing. And
Princeton's always been a tough football team. One thing about us is we're going to play tough. We love to hit. Hitting is like preached, and it's like the gospel in Princeton.
I don't want to have all these rules and all these things that you got to try and memorize. Just the word all in. All in.
Football is one of the greatest sports in the world.
It was certainly emotional, no doubt about it. It always is between us and Ocean City.
I don't like losing. The kids don't like losing. And I don't want to lose to the same team over and over and over again. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Cal 1-on-1, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service right here on Cape Atlantic Live. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, as we roll on with our 2025 football previews for the upcoming high school football season. With me today is ACIT head coach Chris Mancuso. Coach, good to talk to you once more. I feel like we were just discussing going into year number one as a varsity program, but ACIT now established, you go into year two here in 2025 as a varsity program. The offseason this time around must have been vastly different compared to going from last summer into last season. So just what are the last 6 months been like for you?
Good. It's good to see you again, Nick. Thank you for having me on again. Yeah, no, you were absolutely correct. It's been a lot different. Obviously, we are going to be a lot more experienced and a lot more older team. So, everything from the everyday drills to individual offensive defense position wise, the weight room, even the weight room numbers and the maxes and the exercises. Yeah, a lot different going into year two, and we're ready for it. It is exciting.
When you mentioned that excitement for year two, especially with a lot of guys coming back for 2025, and we'll dive into them in a little bit. Just the excitement, the weight room numbers going up, and obviously the almost like the fundamentals of football, which you were almost still teaching for a program that had a lot of new kids to football. You were just a JV program for 2 years before you could play full-fledged varsity football. All of that, you are still going to practice and still preach, but it's like is it almost like a more seamless transition when you get these guys back onto the football field and obviously right out of the weight room too?
Yeah, like you said, obviously the fundamentals are always drilled in and preached and coached for everything that we do. But yes, a lot more seamless transitions from everything that we'll do outside from the weight room, installing plays, different periods during drills. It's just a lot different and exciting to be around. And as even, within the locker room and the relationships that the players have with themselves, just a lot more mature and older group because, again, even the older kids that we did have last year, now they're just a little bit more experienced. Last year being kind of, new territory for myself and new territory for everybody that was on the team and on the staff because it was our first ever varsity season in ACIT history. So there was a lot of things that, you couldn't really anticipate happening. Mm-hmm. This year. We have a year underneath our belt. We can obviously preach those fundamentals and keep those fundamentals, but we can fix the things that we need to fix from the previous season and have a little bit better of anticipation of situations that could arise not only during the season and during games, but from the summer, the beginning of the summer to after summer, practice in July to practice in August, and even, from the past 6 months, like your last question, anticipate different situations that would come up in the winter and the springtime and things like that. So it's exciting time. It is very, very exciting time. And it's going to be a lot less anticipation building up where you didn't know what was going to happen, and like a lot more focused to more specific things that we know that we're already better at. Going into a season that kids literally that haven't played football or haven't played varsity football. Now we know from a season previous that, kids are good at these things or kids are bad at these things, or a certain position can't do this to a certain position that can do this, or need to work on it, or things like that. So it's different, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. That's, at this point, that's what we need to be doing. If we had anticipate, or if we can anticipate what this season's going to bring us going into this season, then we would be in a tough situation.
I mean, last year you guys do go 2-6, but you had two of those wins in September. Good games over Deptford and Triton, and there was a couple other games where it was a little bit. They were close losses, so arguably we're talking about maybe the difference between 2-6 and a 500 season. So you guys were competitive on with your first year on the varsity field. Close losses to St. Joe's of Hamilton, of course. Bridgeton, a tough game. You guys actually put up 21 points against a very explosive Bulldogs team. When you guys, just on last year real quick, when you guys get those first two wins in September, you guys are 2-1. I know it wasn't the best end of the season, but did you all of a sudden notice oh wow, the confidence in these kids, regardless of wins or losses for the rest of the season, it's growing, and it's we're actually figuring it out now, and all of a sudden it sets up a blueprint for the future.
Yeah, I mean, those first two wins were interesting being into the season, but we were kind of just one game by game. Each game was important, play by play as well. No matter who we really were playing towards the end of the season, we know going into the season that we were playing game by game, and we got our first 4 games out of the way. But that back half of the schedule, depending on no matter who we really were playing, it was going to be tough because, again, it's kids literally getting their first experience. So, the body wears down. Obviously, there's some injuries, things like that would take place that we never started a season before, but we also never finished a season before. And, obviously our goal will be to not only finish the season on a better note than we did last year, but also to begin the season on a better note than we did last year. We were fortunate enough to get those wins, first win in school history. And then, another win against a tough Triton team that will be back and better than ever this year. So, we have our work cut off for them. You mentioned a team like Bridgeton. They were undefeated or at least one loss when we played them. And, they were one of the top Group 5 teams in the area. So props to them. Our schedule was tough, and not only being a first-year program, but we're a big school, so we'll play the big teams, and that's the way we kind of like it. And I would definitely rather have that going into a brand new season than something different than that.
Yeah. When you look at the difference between what you and your staff have been able to do from last year, and you kind of already alluded to it with, teaching kids basically how to play football, to now you have a little something established now. You can start building upon it. Again, a lot of exciting things happening at the school, new stadium coming as well. What have you learned, I guess, the biggest things that you've learned from 2024 to now 2025 for yourself as a head coach?
To take one day at a time. It's, even as we work out the players in the wintertime, in the springtime, like in the weight room and the things that we were able to do leading up into the summer, it's just astronomically or exponentially different than where we were at this time last year. And, we anticipated that because from last year, it was different than the year before that. And from the year before that, it was different than that. So we're definitely on an upward trajectory. Just from myself dealing with pretty much 3 seniors that gave us serviceable time throughout their senior year last year. And now this year we'll have 17. So things like that, preaching that it's senior leadership, maturity, taking ownership of, sports that you care about and things like that. I've had not only those, specifically talking about those seniors, those 17 guys pretty much made up, about 70 lifting days from the winter to the springtime, and dedicating, their winter and spring towards this upcoming summer and fall. So it means something to him. So just harping on to not only taking ownership of the team, but now being older, now you got incoming freshman class coming in, the other class that's going to be sophomores and the juniors to lead by example. And now that they're able to lead by example, a lot more different than our last senior class because they've already had that experience in that varsity season underneath their belt. So just kind of to answer your question, specifically talking to the seniors, at least guiding them and to maturity and being leaders, because at the end of the day, if they're playing football after the fact of high school, then that would be great. But as long as they're better individuals and people and leadership in their workforce, then that's the end goal.
Yeah. I like hearing that. So we'll dive into 2025 and some of the key guys coming back for your squad this season in just a second. Take a quick break. This is Cal 101 presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service right here on Cape Atlantic Live.
This broadcast is brought to you by Harbor Jiu-Jitsu. Located in Egg Harbor Township, Harbor Jiu-Jitsu is more than just training. Both adults and kids can gain practical skills that give you real confidence, build physical and mental resilience, and you can join a team that's here to help you grow. Featuring no-gi, gi, wrestling, and MMA classes. Harbor Jiu-Jitsu is the most dynamic gym in South Jersey. For more information, check out harborjiujitsu.com.
So, Coach, when we look at 2025, some of the key guys back, I'll just start on offense. Guys like quarterback Anthony Gaetano, Dante Franchini, David Nixon, Matos, and Kazir Stevenson. I mean, you guys actually bring back some production. I know you were senior dominant last year with, I guess, your mainstays on offense and defense, but the guys that are coming back, we already talked about the experience of varsity football from 2024, but it seems like these guys now, with a year under their belt and a chance to run it back, you guys are in much better position on both sides of the football.
Yeah, definitely better and obviously more experienced. I already mentioned the three seniors. They were serviceable on the offense and defense side of the ball for us, but everybody besides them are coming back. And I already mentioned with the 17 seniors that we have, we have more juniors than seniors, and then we have more sophomores than both those classes. And then I anticipate having more freshmen than all those classes, maybe all those classes combined. So, we're a big school, we're a big team. And with that experience, there's not too much of a drop off. Obviously, the guys that didn't see the field from last year, they'll also be called upon, from offense, defense, or special teams, things like that, because, they just put in as much work as those guys that were at least able to contribute on the field for us last year. So it's a good situation to be in, because those guys returning are coming back, besides three of them. And then those guys that were backups or alternates, and even the JV team, they're coming back as well. And they got significantly better too.
What can you make of the offensive and defensive lines for you guys? Of course, with a big school, a lot of people anticipate you're probably going to have some big offensive and defensive linemen, the big uglies that they like to call them. So what have you made of your offensive and defensive line development, particularly as it pertains, your numbers are steadily increasing as a Group 5 school, but that's where the money's made, which is up front on both sides of the football. What can you say about both lines?
Yeah, what I can say about both lines is exactly what you said. That is where the money's made, and that's where we obviously need to get better at. We can get better in literally every area there is. There is not one area that we definitely have control of at this point, but that is definitely the harp on, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We need to run the ball a lot better. And on the defensive side, we need to get, defensive line penetration and things like that on the pass rush and stopping the run, because that's what wins football games.
When you look at some of the challenges, I guess, and we've talked about this before, especially last year when the team became a varsity program, what are some of these other challenges that kind of still linger? I guess maybe outside the developmental part where that's coming along now, but ACIT, again, still very young varsity football program here in South Jersey. But is the biggest challenge doing this as a gigantic school where you play these other big teams that have already been established for years at this point?
I mean, of course, this is challenging. Like I said, it's I can't really say it's what we want as a program because it's the first time that we actually really had it. But it's definitely something that I'd much rather have.
Yeah.
Playing these big teams. Because we are a big school. I mean, I'm fortunate enough, especially with my administration, Superintendent Dr. Gunther and Principal Paque, and even our athletic director, Dr. Wagner. I mean, they do a tremendous job in promoting all our sports and really kind of growing the school as a whole. I mean, we're getting done a new expansion that should be done by September, the beginning of or next September. So next school year or this upcoming school year coming up. And then the field is in the process of being built after that. And I mean, I don't know when the last time you've been to ACIT, but I would definitely recommend to go check it out because it's literally no school is like it within Land County or even South Jersey. I mean, it's incredible of how they're moving the school as a whole, like not only just the football program. It's not only an exciting time for the football program, but it's an exciting time to be at ACIT from students to faculty to administration because it's really a beautiful place and everybody does their correct job and what they need to do to make sure that it is the best place possible to get an education and to play sports as well.
Yeah. I was actually just about to ask you about the stadium updates. I remember we were talking about that last year. You know, that was in the future, big Group 5 stadium for the football team, like the latest athletic endeavor right there. That'll be ready, you said, by September of 2026. So not this year yet, right?
The stadium, yes, but we'll be in the new building in the start of school next year.
Okay, so progress like that. Are you guys playing your home games at the same location as last year, or something different? What's the deal for 2025?
We'll be road warriors. We're going to play all our games on the road, except one with the St. Joe's game being to be announced or to be determined a little bit closer to the start of the season. But every other game will be on the road. I mean, the building itself is the first priority in terms of, making sure that it's open for school next year.
Yep.
And the field project falls right under that. They actually just cleared out the trees and started leveling the surface where it's going to be. But I mean, the new building basically is surrounded by, there's not too many places in the new building that you can't be where you can't look out to the new stadium, which will also supply field for soccer, track, 8-lane track. It's a really awesome campus at this point where it's, again, like I said, you don't really get it anywhere in South Jersey. And it's a cool time to be a Red Hawk, that's for sure.
Yeah. We talk about that positive anticipation, and I know again, you have to wait another calendar year before the stadium's up for football and the rest of the sports. And it almost kind of stinks for the seniors, like, oh, we were so close to playing on that brand new turf field. But I guess for the guys that are going to be back for even 2026, and for yourself, and I guess to the entire school in itself, when you see a big Group 5, like a big New Jersey Group 5 stadium being built, again, for all these sports, brand new turf field, lots of bleachers for fans and parents and family alike. When you see that in the process of being built, I mean, that has to be one of the more positive, the positive anticipations throughout the entire building. It's like, man, just wait till we pack that house in the fall of 2026, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the building itself, which will house a football locker room, weight room, a new gym, new cafeteria, obviously new classroom. The press box is attached to it. The bleachers are going to be attached to the field that looks out to it. Like I said, there's, 10-foot or I'm not too sure on the exact dimensions, but pretty much wherever you can be in the new building. The new lobby or the foyer will look out towards the field. So the new building will actually be able to look out onto the field. And just for the seniors the seniors are going to be very fortunate to even be in that building at that point. And, obviously If I can get a practice on there, I definitely would love to get a practice on there. But we'll reap from the benefits just from building being done, and just being part of this time, this for the school year next year. I mean, it's going to be different, but very, very exciting. It's unbelievable. You should really check it out. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've driven by the school plenty of times, and I see the construction when I'm just like, man, when that's done, this place is going to be a hotbed. It's like a mini college campus over there. So it is absolutely insane. I'm looking forward to seeing that, but I'm also looking forward to seeing you guys in action once more here in 2025. So, Coach, again, appreciate your time. I'll leave you here with this one. I've been asking every coach this summer leading into the season. Some programs keep the same model that the kids buy into pretty much every year, or they change it up a year, like all in, or use an acronym like team, or whatever the case may be. Do you guys have a phrase or a motto that you guys have really bought into that's basically your slogan for ACIT football here in 2025? I
like to use the one that Coach Sacco always likes to preach. Team together, everyone achieves more. Touch kind of, and I don't know if someone already used that one or someone already said that one, but it's a great one because in terms with building the program, being the second year into it, for us to be as successful as the years go on, and for the program future, we really are harping on that. If we do this together, if we take initiative in terms with preaching leadership and things like that, being consistent in terms of, dedicating yourself to becoming a better football player. If we can do that together as a team, we will achieve our goals or be closer to achieving our goals. And, that kind of actually started basically all with these juniors going to be seniors for next year, because at this point, these seniors were freshmen in the second JV season. So really our true class of these guys, kind of taking initiative to after school. Nobody else was doing it on school, where, we were in the gym, we were running, we were doing conditioning, we were lifting and exercise and things like that. And then, this summertime, practicing and having a JV schedule at first during their sophomore seasons and things like that. These guys, these seniors kind of started when this program was so small, or in the beginning stages, that kind of just their working together was able to not only be better football players their senior year, but they were able to see kind of the program grow into what we're going to be into year two. So it's kind of that instant gratification that they'll be able to get to see, especially after the fact when their senior season done and they can look back on it. But, it wasn't like we have 17 seniors. So it wasn't like we have 2 seniors that play and that are significant playmakers for us on the field. Kind of these 17 seniors as a whole are, our O-line or D-line guys, like you kind of alluded to, where, if as they're working out and they're practicing on whatever they really need to practice and things like that, to become better football players, not only the team's going to achieve more, but the program will achieve more as a whole. And it's just cool to see that.
Yeah. Team seems like the perfect model for ACIT going into year number 2. Coach, appreciate your time. Good luck this season. I'll be sure to check out the campus in construction, while under construction, of course, when it's all finished and done. I can't wait to see that new facility and see what you guys can do on the field here in 2025.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for everything you do for South Jersey high school football. Really appreciate it. And definitely stop by.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you as well. All right, Cal 101 presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. Be sure to check out the rest of our content on Cape Atlantic Live, the rest of our podcast series, and of course, we bring you live football coverage beginning in September. Be sure to follow us on social media as well. We'll see you next time.